Well, back home, we had the federal budget this week, and it looks like the date of the election will be called over the upcoming week, but we are already very much on the election trail. And for that, we have our regular chat. Member for Kingsford Smith, Labor's Matt Thistlethwaite, and from the government, it is the member for Mackellar, Jason Falinski. Good morning to you both, gentlemen. I do have some horse tips for you later. But we will start on...
We'll treat it cautiously, OK?
Yeah. Oh, no, you should have taken the last two. They were both one. Now, aged care. Anthony Albanese, the leader of your party, has come out and said that you guys are going to fix it all up. Wages are going to go up. But then he's been questioned on how that's going to be funded, and well, he hasn't been able to tell us, really.
Well, we'll fund it by growing the economy. The great shame under this government, Tim, is that labour productivity has been falling. So the amount of income that the country's generating per worker has been falling. And some of the policies that we've announced, like our childcare policy, like our Powering Australia policy, will increase the productivity of the nation. And when you're growing the productivity, you're growing the economic pie that you can fund all of these commitments. And our aged care policy is something that's been long overdue. It's been recognised by the Royal Commission as a problem that needs to be fixed. We need better wages for aged care workers to ensure that they're not working 2 and 3 jobs and that they can't give the necessary care. We need better nutrition, and we need more devoted time so that people can care for aged care residents.
There you go.
Yeah, it's vaporware. It's vaporware. We spent 3 years listening to Labor say, oh, you know, we're not the government. Well, they want to be the government. And we're 6 to 8 weeks away from a polling day, and it's about time they started coming up with detail. And I'll say this also about Albo's budget in reply speech. He talked about mandatory standards for nutrition. We already have those. He talked about extra powers for the Age Accreditation Agency. They've got more powers than the ATO do at the moment. So what more powers do we want to give? It sounds good. It might even look good on occasions. But when you open the hood, there's not much under it.
But these are the things that have been identified by the Royal Commission.
Well, Matt,
and they haven't been fixed under your government. You've had 9 years to try and fix them.
No, that's untrue.
And they haven't been fixed.
That is absolutely untrue.
It's been identified by the Royal Commission as the things that need to be done. So we will do it.
As you know, I come from the aged care sector. So I found the speech incredibly offensive. I really did. The government last year committed $17 billion to the aged care sector. I personally wish and really can't understand why more of that money hasn't got into the system, but that's starting to happen now. But the Aged Care Royal Commission, which you guys keep saying made these findings, did not make those findings. And in his speech, he had to refer to the interim report because the final report actually disagreed and said there was no evidence of some of the findings in the interim report.
How do you get the money? That's the thing. I think everyone wants to fix everything, but we've been through...
We all want to give more money.
We've been through a pandemic through the last couple of years. And tax is going to be it, isn't it? I mean, I know we're going to grow the economy, but the taxation has to come with it.
Well, we're not proposing, to tax the way that we were proposing at the last election. We've dumped our negative gearing policy. We've dumped our capital gains tax increases, and we're looking to grow the economy. And all of our budget policies will be properly costed and funded before the election is announced. But
what do you think of the budget?
The government's in... Well, I think the budget didn't deal with the problems that the nation has, the long-term problems that the nation has. This was a political fix to get the government through the election, but it doesn't deal with that crisis in aged care. It doesn't deal with the problem that we've had with a lack of action on climate change. It doesn't deal with labour productivity and the falling investment that we've had in Australia. That's the reason why the economy has been in the doldrums for the last decade. We haven't been dealing with those issues. And Labor's got a plan, a longer-term plan to fix those issues.
Plan? I mean, it's been 3 years. We're 8 weeks out from election.
I'll tell you.
I'm regretting asking now.
Our policy around childcare will ensure that more women get access to the workforce. That improves productivity. That generates more income, more revenue for the government so that you can pay down some of the debt that's been accumulated under your government. It's all about growing the economic pie and making sure that we've got more income to pay for these commitments and to grow the economy.
As we sit here in a warm, comfortable studio, there's people in Lismore that have been through the most atrocious time, the most woeful time of their lives. Everything's been turned upside down. How, as government and politicians, do we fix that?
Well, the answer is it's a community response. And I think I disagree, obviously, with Matt about the budget. The budget has billions of dollars to deal with net zero because climate change is a slogan. Net zero is a solution.
But what about the floods?
And the flood, well, look, mate, first of all, when we rebuild, we build in areas where when they're up, we know we're going to have more floods. We know we're going to have more bushfires. We rebuild in a way that the nation's more resilient and more adapted to these natural disasters. That's step one. That's step three. Step one is helping the people here and today who are homeless find a place to live, make sure they've got the provisions to get on with their lives so that they are not scarred by this for a very long time and that we can get them back to normal.
If you guys win the election, what can people who are watching this morning, what sort of scintilla of hope can you give them?
Well, you've got to treat climate change seriously. And unfortunately, this government has tried to weaponise climate change and use it as a political weapon rather than a problem that needs to be fixed. So what we should have been doing a decade ago is planning for the effects of climate change. And that means building mitigation infrastructure. It means building levees. It means building culverts. It means building evacuation centres so that you are prepared for this sort of stuff.
Who was in government 10 years ago?
So that you were, and you dismantled all the policies that we put in place to deal with this sort of stuff.
You guys keep talking about climate change and I'll keep talking about net zero because net zero is a solution. Climate change is just a cliche hiding in a slogan. So we've got billions of dollars committed to net zero and community adaptability. You guys just keep talking in slogans.
You've had $4.7 billion sitting in a fund that was devoted to the emergency response fund, devoted to building mitigation infrastructure.
Absolutely.
You haven't invested in one single project.
That's
We've announced if we are elected,
saying stuff that's untrue, and you know that's untrue.
If we are elected, we will have a disaster ready fund that will invest $200 million a year in protecting those communities and building that infrastructure to ensure that you protect them from the extreme weather events that are going to increase because of climate change. And that's the approach that we would take.
You guys going to announce the election this week?
Absolutely. Do you want to know the date?
Tell us.
I don't know. Look, I'll tell you what, I'll exchange one horse bet for a bet on the election.
Okay, now we've got to wrap it up because it is first day of the championships at Royal Randwick, so we'll put a smile on our face. South Sydney lost the other day. You guys got a nail-biting win at the new Brookvale. The grandstand looked good. But I told you fire burn for the Golden Slipper and neither of you had a bet on it. I told you Shelby 66. So let's go with those two horses again today. Fireburn's going to be short in the size.
You sure?
Shelby 66 to beat all these wonderful superstars because it's going to be the better side of a heavy 10.
All right. And I'd take the odds on 21st of May.
21st of May.
Yeah.
21st of May.
Could
Breaking news here on Sky News. Jason Falinski.
Right. Is that the Prime Minister's office?
Scott Morrison. He's asking about how the Sharks are going to go. Okay, so 21st of May we're looking at. Well, but one thing is we'll be back in here next week.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
See you then.
All right.